Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a Wednesday night slate here with 13 games to choose from, Nate, after just 3 games on Tuesday night. Definitely make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We're bringing you these videos each and every weekday of this regular season. Have game videos and our player props up for you, so make sure you are following along with us. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where we have our great written content up for you guys all season long, and our odds finder tool that you can use to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all those NBA bets. In this one, we're taking a look at Memphis at Mini against the Timberwolves there. Also, like I said, have those other couple videos up. But Nate, let's get into that big slate and then talk T-Wolves and Grizz.
Yeah, I mean, big slate indeed. We got Hawks -6 at the Magic with Paolo back in the lineup there. The Sixers are +4 at Cleveland despite having Embiid back, so kind of like their chances there. The Wizards +5 at the Nets. Ben Simmons is out for a while, but KD is carrying the squad. The other game we break down, Miami's +9.5 at Boston, total at 224 there. The Bucks -6 at the Knicks, who are on a back-to-back there. Raptors with Siakam back -1 at Pelicans. Spurs +5 at Thunder. Rockets +11 at Denver. Bulls +6 at the Suns. The Clippers +7 at the Jazz. The Pacers +4.5 at Kings. That's a intriguing game to talk about for sure after their trade. Totals crept all the way up to 242. The Blazers +5.5 at the Lakers, who just blew a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. And then we have Memphis right now, -2.5 at Minnesota. I believe it opened -4.5. And the total down from 233 to 231. I don't understand how there's any real steam behind Minnesota, who I tried to get ahead of calling a win over the Wizards. Turned out they lost a 6th straight to the Wizards. Turns out they lost Karl Anthony Towns for over a month with a calf injury. And, I mean, say what you will about the fit, that's not really going to help in general because Anthony Edwards has not been that dude. D'Angelo Russell is still on the decline of his career. And I mean, where else is the offense supposed to come from? It's just really a stunning turnaround in terms of the number 1 3-point shooting team last year is 27th in 3-point percentage on the year, 29th in their last 3 games. They're scoring the 9th highest percentage of their points off twos and 7th in paint points. But that's a problem against Memphis, especially with Triple J back. They shut down the paint. I mean, they have both Triple J and Steven Adams, 2 brick walls that you can run into down low if you are trying to attack the paint relentlessly here. Memphis is back on the winning track, although they haven't necessarily been the most reliable team on the road. I do think that they're up for this one. Of course, this is a brand new rivalry after that playoff series. Lots of heated exchanges between Anthony Edwards and John Morant and company. And Memphis has certainly had the better of it. They've not been scared by playing on the road either. They won 2 of the last 3 in the playoffs in Mini. They've won 9 of their last 11 regular season against Minnesota and covered in all 9 of those. But for me, I mean, this is more about being worried that the Wolves can do anything well. I mean, they haven't really been injected by life at home either. They've 2-4 straight up, only covered once in their last 6 home games. That's against Houston. They have the 3rd worst offensive rating in those games. They have the 3rd worst total rebounding rate in those games. Again, it's just stunning that you have Rudy Gobert. He's grabbing like 15 boards a game, and nobody else is helping him out on the glass. They're doing nothing to crash offensively either. Still very high pace, but that's led to them giving up the 10th most fast break points and the most 3-pointers per game. And Memphis, even without Bane the last couple of weeks, they're 9th in 3-pointers made. They're 3rd in fast break points, of course. And they're getting 61 paint points in their last 3. Minnesota's interior defense also deteriorated during that little road trip they had. They gave up 60 paint points to Charlotte, 62 to Washington. You gave up 142 points to Washington. I mean, that is just absurdly poor defense. I don't necessarily see that changing around just because, of course, they want to beat Memphis. they're not going to be able to stop Ja down low. They're not going to be able to stop score consistently down low and keep the Grizz off the free throw line is the last thing I'll talk about here. I mean, the Grizz right now up to second in free throw attempts the last three. And Minnesota, after allowing the most free throw attempts last year, still eighth most with Rudy Gobert back to protect the rim. So I definitely like Memphis. I don't understand why the spread has shrunken a little bit.
Probably because they're poor numbers on the road. I mean, poor for them, right, comparatively in terms of the Grizz. But yeah, I don't know. I have no faith in this Minnesota team. I think there's been like maybe one or two games this season that they've kind of surprised me, like somewhat pleasantly. Like they played the way they were supposed to play. They won a game they were supposed to win. But for the most part, this team is bad against the spread, especially this season. Like they're not covering, right? They're in the bottom five in terms of covering all of their games right now, wherever they play. They're just bad against the spread, 10 games under 500 overall. So they're not covering. They're not playing up to scratch in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that they have going for them is Rudy Gobert getting rebounds. But that doesn't mean their team's getting rebounds. It's wild to me to watch them just kind of be what they are. The key stats that, you want when you're playing against Memphis, as we've talked about for seasons now, is are you giving up fast break points? Are you giving up second chance points? Are you giving up points in the paint and off turnovers and the like? And they're not getting as many turnovers or points off turnovers this year, Memphis. Their defense has been a bit worse, and that hasn't led to as many, but they're getting the second chance points. They're getting fast break points. They're getting points in the paint, all of that to the tune of the top five in the NBA. It's incredible to me that Minnesota is giving up the third most second chance points, the fifth most offense. Like they have the fifth fewest defensive rebounds. They're giving up like the fifth most offensive. It's just crazy that the amount of offensive rebounds. It's like, are Rudy Gobert's rebounds even ever important in any way, shape, or form? And it just doesn't feel like it. The way that Memphis beat them last time is how I think we both think they're going to beat them this time, out rebounding them by 13, getting 16 more points in the paint than Minnesota. Bane was in that game, but I will say Dylan Brooks, who has not been a friend of the show necessarily, as I haven't loved the way that he turns the ball over and takes bad shots within a good offense, has been efficient. He's been shooting 52% from the field since Bane went down. Actually, Bane went down after that game against Minnesota. He stopped playing for the last 7. And Brooks has been really good then. He's had a really, really good defensive rating. And he's like I said, he shot 52% from the field. He's only got 2.4 turnovers a game, which is huge for him because sometimes that number is close to 5 or 4. He's not fouling out quite at the same rate. That's a huge part of it for them because they didn't have another guard without Desmond Bane this season after Melton was gone. Tyus Jones is the point guard, but they just didn't have another off-ball guard to play when Ja wasn't in there or Bane wasn't in there, and Brooks has been a lot better in that sense. The Grizzlies getting to the free throw line at the rate of the third best, and Minnesota giving up all those free throws as well. So the rebounding, the free throws, the paint, like. The only thing that doesn't work here for me is the correlation of what happened in Washington when they got pounced by the Wizards because KP, Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma just went unconscious from 3, and the 3-point shooting isn't the way that Memphis is going to beat you. But it doesn't matter. Minnesota's letting you do whatever you want, whether you're outside the 3-point line or inside the paint. And so, yeah, without Cat, especially at this point, I don't see it helping them because I haven't seen anything from Edwards or D'Lo with Rudy Gobert. When that 3-man lineup is on the court, their net rating is minus 2.2. So it's not like there's much to expect from those 3 guys at the same time, which is going to be their 3 most, the 3 focal points on offense for them. Not anything that scares me against Memphis right now, especially as you mentioned with Jaren Jackson Jr. back, averaging 4 blocks a game since he's come back as well with a super nice defensive rating. Obviously helps their defense tremendously. So just a lot to like with Memphis still. They've had a few hiccups without Bane here and there, but I think they're figuring some stuff out, and with everybody getting back into the groove, including Triple J. 3.5 isn't enough. So yeah, the only thing that I could see why bookmakers might be, and people might be betting on Minnesota is maybe they think without Cat they'll be better, and maybe they think that this Memphis defensive, sort of regression on the road for Memphis might be legitimate, but I'm not buying any of that. I'm going Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, Memphis playing poorly on the road when they're underdogs. They're 0-4 straight up this year as road dogs. They're 5-2 straight up when they're road favorites. Since last year, they've been extremely reliable, maybe the most reliable in the league when they're favorites to win, and great against the spread as well with a 9.5 margin of victory. Yeah. But they won 74% of games as favorites, and on the road, that's still 72%. And then you look at when they're road dogs, 37% is their worst cover or worst win percentage in that situation. And a lot of that has to do with, who's out. Ja has missed 2 of their 6 road games in November. And of course, they weren't that great in those games. Ja will not only be playing, though, he will be extremely motivated to shove it down the Wolves' throat tonight, as he was throughout the playoffs last year. And I'm very confident in that. I mean, they blew us away in terms of our expectations against the Pelicans in their last game, clearly figuring out how to get that offense going without Desmond Bane. And right now, I think this is a much better situation for them to get on track on the road. And because we've seen from them in past seasons, I definitely trust them to win this game. And a small spread is a great opportunity, I think, to bet on Memphis.
Yeah, you're right. And I really need to consider Ja missing 2 of those last 6 roadies as well. They got beat by the Wizards because he wasn't playing, and there was one more game in there that he did not play that they lost as well. So yeah, I feel a lot better about that. It's if you look at the stats with and without Ja this season, it's a lot different than last season. They're not winning without Ja. They are winning with him. His on-off court numbers are also pretty stark right now because there's a little bit less depth on this team, meaning their bench isn't quite as dominant with Slow-Mo and Melton coming out and Tyus Jones together. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of a tide that's turned for Memphis in terms of the inconsistencies, and I think we're about to see them continue to go on a little bit more of a tear. So that's all the time we have for you guys in this one. Definitely make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Got another video up for you, a game video and our player props today. So until we see you next, happy betting.